It's preparing. Yeah, this
So
is
this
going
is
to be
actually this is actually live. It's not being recorded.
it's being recorded and it's live, but not
Oh,
right now. Not until I say we're live. It's
all right.
setting up. Here we go. It's preparing. Yeah, this
So
is going to be
this is actually live. It's not being recorded.
it's being recorded and it's live, but not right now. Not until I say we're live. It's okay. Now we're live, Keith. Hey, good afternoon, everyone. This is Garrett Goggins, CFA, editor of Silver Stock Analyst. Today we have Keith Neumeyer, CEO of First Majestic Silver, joining us. Keith, how you doing today?
Great, Garrett. Nice seeing you again. It's been a while.
Nice seeing you too. I'm sending a link right now to Todd so that he can share this with everyone. And I just wanted to talk to you about, you've had some recent news. Ms. Eric Sprott invested $60 million into First Majestic, and the deal just closed today, right?
That's right. Yeah. 78 million Canadian, 60 million US.
Okay. What attracted Eric to First Majestic?
The best silver name there is.
Yeah.
He kind of has to own it. Now, look, Eric and I go back a long time, and he's traded the name several times, and when he was running the gold fund, when he was at Sprott Asset Management before he retired, First Majestic was their top silver name in their portfolio, and so he's been familiar with me. He knows the company very well, and he's been peppering the space. As you probably know, he's put a lot of money into the silver space over the last few quarters, and it was obvious that First Majestic was missing. And he approached me, and we agreed on a price, and away we went and did it.
Nice. Yeah, he's invested in a lot of smaller stakes and smaller miners. He likes the explorers, but he's made some other big plays into this top tier of silver miners. 60 mil into mag silver, right, and then 20 mil into Silvercrest Metals, and then 60 mil into you guys. So he's set up well, if silver continues to do well in the future.
Yeah, it's his view, and maybe I shouldn't repeat it. Well, he's told me, so I guess I could repeat it. But I get called the triple-digit silver guy because I made up that phrase, quite some time ago, and people kind of laugh at me sometimes because of my bullishness on the metal. But he's even more bullish than I am. His minimum target is $90, and he's got a maximum target of $500. So if even if he's half right, all these silver stocks obviously will be doing some pretty crazy things.
Yeah, no doubt. It seems as if we're going into a different era with just the way the silver price is staying elevated here, and you're going to be managing a totally different business, over the next, even just this quarter and the following years to come. But before we get into the silver price and all that stuff, I just wanted to talk to you about your current operations.
Sure.
I've been following you for a while. You had 7 operations a few years ago, 6 or 7 operations a few years ago. And then since the San Dimas acquisition, you've transitioned to basically 3 operations, extremely profitable. La Encantada, you've done a really good job at. It's pretty amazing what you've done at La Encantada, actually, because I have not seen personally companies transform mines like that. And you did that with the roaster. You're implementing technology throughout, the HIG mills and the micro bubbles, and you're just boosting efficiency across all your operations, right?
Mm-hmm. That's really been a focus of ours, and I get, people probably don't appreciate it, because they're obviously not inside the company and seeing every move we make. But this goes back to our first hiring of the entire graduating class at the University of Durango back in 2014. We hired 25 guys and girls, all engineers, electrical engineers and chemical engineers, and we let them loose on the business. And that first hire, some of those people are managers today in our business. It was 6 years ago, and we've done that almost every year since. And we've got 2 joint ventures, one with the high tech or engineering university in Guanajuato, which is a famous University in Mexico, and then the one, of course, in Durango State. We get fed these young engineers annually, and these kids have grown up with iPads and iPhones. They come to the mines and they see all these old farts doing crazy things like why are you doing that? Like there's way better ways of doing things, and it's pretty exciting. And it's really this old, or pardon me, this new generation that is going to replace these older individuals. So our main focus these days, or our last 4 or 5 years anyways, is to transfer this knowledge from the older crowd who are retiring over the next 5 to 10 years, with this new blood. And it's this new blood that's really going to change the mining sector. And I'm very proud of First Majestic. I think we're one of the leaders, in doing just that.
I've seen a lot of companies, I've visited a lot of companies, and, I would agree with you. Yours is one of the only mining companies that uses this youthful talent. Most mining companies are, guys that are 40, 50, 60, 70 years old, doing things the same way that they always have over the past 50 years. So it's great that you're adding technology, and it's, it's low cost, and you're showing results from it right now.
Mm-hmm. That's right. And we're going to continually pushing the envelope. And, you don't have 100% success rate because there is risk, at some of this stuff. And, but, I tend to be a little bit more risk adverse than, other CEOs. And I don't mind giving, our technical team, our technical services team, our innovation group, extra capital to do some of this work. We have a ISO 9000 certified laboratory at the La Pria operation, which is a big lab. There's 50 metallurgists that work in that lab, guys and girls, all pretty young people, and they just pound away on rocks all day long. Metallurgy, geology, all the assets, all our properties, and even if we're doing due diligence on potential M&A, this lab does all of our internal technical work, and we're doing some pretty neat stuff, and all translates. Anything that's successful, as the Higg was a very successful project that we launched a couple of years ago, we then implemented at the operations.
Nice. What is there anything that you want to highlight among your current operations?
Well, Santa Elena really got the first big spend. We put that into our portfolio back in 2015. We owned it for the entire year of 2016, and that was our first full big year with that operation. And we knew right away that we had to upgrade it. We had 60% recoveries in that operation when we bought it. So that's a lot of 40% of the silver and gold going into waste, which is, just too much. And so today we've got 96, 97, 98% recoveries of silver and gold coming out of that operation as a result of all the stuff that we've done there. So it's pretty exciting. Costs have dropped, production's gone up, and then with Ermitaño coming online, if in the presentation that you're showing right now, and there's a few slides on Ermitaño, but that was we started developing into that ore body about a year ago, and by early 2021 we'll be mining. We'll be next couple. Will be next one, I think. Yeah, right here. You see that adit there that we're building in the side of the mountain into that ore body. Nice thing about this material, you see the high grade, nature of this material. 4 or 5 grams gold, and then good silver grades. And this feed will not only add, close to 10 years of mine life, but it'll also increase the head grade of this portion of the feed by about 10 times. So the throughput will still stay the same at about 2,900 tons per day. But this 40% of the ore that's currently being fed from the old heaps, because this was an old open pit. So 60% of the feed goes from the mine, the Santa Elena mine, and 40% from this old heap pad. This Ermitaño is going to replace that 40%. And so head grades on that 40% of that feed will go up by about 10 times. So it's going to be pretty nice little bump in production. And of course, costs will drop as well. And that's all starting mid-2021.
So let's say Ermitaño, it's going to be about 300 grams a ton that you're going to be feeding in?
Yeah, well, the grades are there. So you can see the gold grades, between 3 to 5, 3 to 4.5, and the silver equivalent, which is that's a gold and silver combined. So, 400 gram material on equivalency basis.
So overall, what do you expect the Santa Elena grade to be once you
Well,
start
if you go back to the previous slide, you see that, next one. You see that the grades here, so don't ignore Q2 because that was a low production month. Don't forget about that. So look at Q1. You got 100 grams silver. Now the 40% of that feed is like 30 grams silver, right? So that 30 grams is pulling that average down. So that'll be replaced by the higher grade ermitaño. And then you look at that gold grade. The mine gold grade is over 3 grams, but the heap gold grade is like 0.3 or something. Okay. So it's dragging that average down. So both of those averages will go back up with the heaps being displaced.
Okay. Yeah, and as your grade goes up, your ounces of production are going to be going up, and your costs with ounces being the denominator are going to be going down. Yeah. It's already been a good operation for you, and it just looks like it's going to get better. And then
and look at that land package. You mentioned Silvercrest earlier. Eric put some money into that company, and Silvercrest is that little white square up there with that red dot inside of it called Las Chipas. Silvercrest has that 900 hectares, and we surround them. We've got all these other properties in different. The reason why they're different colors is because we bought them in different transactions, but they're all our portfolio. So we own all that land. It's like 250,000 hectares of land. We got 2 rigs in the green area right now. We're going to put in Los Hernandez. We've got a rig. They're planning on going into El Gachi. We've got a couple rigs in the pink area, which is the main Santa Elena zone. We've got 4 rigs active in the ermitaño blue area.
Los Hernandez looks really close to Las Chispas. It looks like it almost borders the mine, almost goes into your property.
That's right. Yeah, it actually does. That's why we have 2 rigs up there drilling right now.
Any old workings around there?
Yeah. There's a couple of neat outcrops as well. There's an outcrop about 2 kilometers south of the red dot on our property that we've taken some grab samples, which are looking pretty interesting. We haven't drilled that outcrop yet, but that's in the 2021 plan. We hope to do that in the next couple of quarters. But we know the structure where it is, and we're just trying to put it all together.
Okay, excellent. How's San Dimas going?
Yeah, San Dimas, I guess one of the best thing that happened in San Dimas in the last couple of quarters was the government allowed us to get the HIG mill in there. If you just stop at that one slide, go one down, right. No, next one. Yeah, right here. See the picture of that HIG mill on the right-hand side of that slide. That's actually a picture of the Santa Elena HIG mill, but you see how big that thing is. And this thing came from Europe through the Panama Canal. It was dropped in Mazatlan, Mexico, right during the middle of COVID. We were really worried that they weren't going to let us truck it to site because it required, I think 3, big trucks, and they had to close the highway down and all kinds of stuff. But they let us do it because of COVID, basically, because there's no one on the road anyways. So we got it on site on time, and it's sitting there just waiting for. We did a deal with the community where we have to build a camp, for the contractors, because of COVID, the community is concerned that outside people are going to be mingling around town. So we actually are in the process of building a 300-man camp for construction of the whole expansion program, which started in early 2021, but was suspended. So it'll restart here in Q3, and we're expecting to have this particular HIG installed by middle of 2021. And then the permitting for Las Chuchas, the hydroelectric dam, that dam there that you see in this photograph is supplying 50% of the hydroelectric needs of this operation. We're actually building a second dam further upriver, and the town really wants it because the power failures that continually occur in this town there, and it's not the CFE or the electrical line is very unreliable. So we got a lot of support from the government and the community to build this second dam. So that's going to go into tender before the end of the year, and we should break ground on that new dam. So in addition to the expansion you see on this slide, it's currently running at about 2,000 tons a day. over the next 2 years, we plan on getting that up to about 3,000 tons a day with brand new technology and lower cost energy. So it's going to turn into a pretty exciting operation. And you can see the grades are just wonderful.
With higher recoveries.
Higher recoveries, yeah. Higher throughput, higher recoveries, lower energy costs.
Wow. Yeah. So, it's a great operation for you. It's, it's generating a good chunk of free cash flow every single quarter. And it looks like it's going to get better, huh?
Yeah. Oh, for sure. Yeah. Q2, of course, you kind of have to ignore those numbers because, it was a bit of a, but, we'll revert back to the normal cost numbers in the next couple of quarters as the manpower starts to get coming back to work.
One of the things that I like that you did when you bought the property is, restructure the stream with Wheaton Precious, right? So, when Primera owned it, they were leaving the high grade silver stuff behind because it wasn't profitable for them to mine it because of the stream agreement they had with Wheaton Precious. It was ridiculous, and you were able to restructure it so it's in gold. Everything's converted to gold ounces. So now you guys are going at the higher grade silver areas, right?
Right. Yeah. The metal doesn't matter to us because we converted at a gold equivalent at $600 an ounce. So not only do we get more money for the ounces, but it's only based on 25% of the total production. So that we got a free ride on 75% of all production, just have that stream on 25%. And we even make money on the stream itself, which is unusual because most mining companies will lose money on the stream and try to make it up on, the other parts of the property that aren't, don't have the stream on it.
Right.
If you go down to this side, back to this coming slide there, that one, you see go down, see that rail there. So that was the area that you're referring to. That was the original Terrell-Tita mine that has been, there for over 100 years. And we rehabilitated that rail system. It's still about 2 kilometers more to go. We've done about 3 kilometers so far. It's about a 5-kilometer tunnel into the side of the mountain, which was basically, it was abandoned by the prior operator because of the high grade silver, and they weren't getting paid on the silver with the Wheaton stream. So they left it all behind. So we spent a year, all of 2019 and parts of 2020 rehabilitating that. And now we're extracting about 200 tons a day out of this old mine, feeding the mill. And we'll get that up to probably about 500 tons a day, within the next 12 months once we finish the rehabilitation.
Wow. Yeah, that's unreal. What's the grade down there?
Yeah, it's still early days, but you're looking 300 to 500 grams silver equivalent.
Okay.
That's good.
Nice. Yeah, definitely good.
But we know there's other very high grade blocks in there that are deeper in that we haven't got to yet.
Yeah, no doubt. So, thank you for the update on the operations. There's a couple things I want to ask you about. Well, I guess first of all, remember you withheld that silver. Did you end up selling that silver already? Withhold it?
Yeah, we did. Yeah, we have bills to pay, obviously, but I think that we probably saved us, $5-6 million bucks. I think, because because the long position got up to about 1.3 million ounces because I suspended sales in March. The lowest sales we did was at 1750, and then the price just collapsed down to the low 1300s. It didn't stay there that long, but it was still went down for a couple of weeks, and it wasn't until mid-June that the silver price actually got back up to 1750. And then I started selling a little bit when it got up there, and then that position was pretty well sold by the end of July. I don't know what the average is, but we saved at least $5 or $6 an ounce by making that move.
Your experience as a trader came in handy, huh?
Yeah, it did. And I actually went long some silver too. So, not only did we hold back some silver, but I actually went into the futures market and bought 1 million ounces of silver on the paper COMEX market. So
nice. What day did you buy it?
It was in March as well. That was on First Majestic's books. So it was for the company I did that for, but we made $2.5 million on that trade.
Oh, wow. Yeah. Didn't you do something like this in the past as well, a few years ago?
Yeah, occasionally I have. Yeah. When I see these kinds of super extremes, I do try to take advantage of it because I know it's always quite short term. The thing that was the big indication to me, it was that the silver sales on our website just skyrocketed. We were getting phone calls
And the
from
price
other,
was going straight down.
yeah, the paper price is going straight down, and the physical metal is just flying out the door. Our orders went up like 10 times. Wow. And we got calls from actually Sprott Money called us and said, raise your price. You're selling your silver too cheap. So we ended up raising our silver price. And I was blown away that we were actually selling silver at, the margins that we were selling it at. And we ended up running out of it and having to wait for more metal coming in the door. But pretty exciting time. But that told me right away that there was a complete disconnect between the actual reality and paper. What
premium do you try to sell the silver at on your website?
Normally it's like a couple of bucks.
Okay.
Yeah, it's sometimes even lower. Like if going back a couple of years, our volumes over the website were tiny. No one was buying metal. If we sold 5,000 ounces on our retail website, that was a decent month. And if you go back to 2010, 2011, we'd be selling 100,000 ounces a month.
Oh, wow.
And yeah, so it's a huge difference. So we're back up to those levels. We can't get the inventory right now. Like we would be selling at those levels if we had the inventory, but our premium right now is I think about $4. And if we had more metal in inventory, we could probably sell 2 or 3 times what we currently have.
Why can't you get the inventory? Because you're mining it. You got it, right? Is it at the refinery bottleneck?
Yeah, we had Northwest Territory Mint went bankrupt a couple of years ago, out of Nevada. Then we had
Miami.
Republic go bankrupt just a while ago. So those are 2 big refineries. Republic, I think, was the biggest in the United States, and so now we're stuck with a couple of smaller refineries. We're using Scottsdale now. They're really good. They make a really nice product, and we're using Sunshine, but they're so backed up with their U.S. Silver dollars that they make, or silver eagles they make for them, that and the government takes more priority than we do, of course. So it's tough. It was really tough to get more. We could send Scottsdale 50,000 ounces tomorrow and wait 6 months to get refined product.
Wow. Yeah, people are definitely interested in the silver price. We'll talk about that in a little bit, but you know what? There's a couple of questions.
Sure.
People are interested in the Mexican tax issue. Mexico's after you for what, like 200 million taxes due to the wheat and precious primary transaction. Yeah.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, it's kind of it is a very strange situation. They Primero in the day, they followed all the rules. When the stream was first created with Wheaton back in 2010, it was one of the first streams. There's very strict OECD guidelines that cover all this transfer pricing stuff. So, the OECD allows for streaming activities to exist. Mexico is a member of the OECD. I think there's about 138 member nations to that treaty. And, governments don't necessarily like it, but they're a member of the treaty. They've signed on to it. So companies, oil and gas companies or mining companies who work in, jurisdictions around the world, they follow these very strict guidelines. And in the case of Primero, once it was approved by the government of Mexico, they allowed it to happen. It was part of the it was reviewed by the tax authorities back in 2010, 2011, 2012, and that was all fine and good. But I guess when silver prices went to $50 an ounce and they were only getting their taxes on $4, I guess they took offense to that, and they sued Primero. I think it was in 2014, and then in 2016, Primero won in court. And it just basically went sideways since then. And then the 2-year limitation came up, which was in 2018. And they've come back to the table and said, hey, look, we want to reopen this file and we want to collect. And they base their collection number, the number you threw out, based on their calculation of what they lost in potential taxes if they had been paid in spot versus being paid on what the stream contract is. But we have a contract, and it's a legally binding agreement, and we can't do anything with it, right? So it's really become a political issue now. We've got the Canadian government at the highest levels. Prime Minister Trudeau is aware of it. His finance minister is aware of it. She's dealt with it and been dealing with it. The ambassadors on both sides of Mexico and Canada are dealing with it. So it's being dealt with in the highest levels of both governments. But there's really nothing we can do about it. We're surely not going to be extorted because this is shareholders' money, and if they want to have a reasonable settlement, then okay, fine. But $200 million is not a reasonable settlement. That's extortion, and we just simply can't abide by those types of.
You've got a tax asset on your balance sheet, right? Of like 80 mil. Didn't you try to do a swap with them? Offer a swap?
There's a large accumulating VAT credit on our balance sheet that's growing, and that would offset any settlement for sure. At least we would assume, right? Mm-hmm. So it's there. So look, we've got a lot of people working on it. We want to get this off our shoulders. We want to get it off our shoulders yesterday, but getting the right people to the table is not always the easiest thing to do.
Yeah. Wheaton Precious Metals had the big court case in Canada a couple of years ago, right? Which they came out victorious and they won. And all the companies that have streaming issues, it seems like streaming gets held up, when, push comes to shove, and, it all works out. So, hopefully you'll be able to put it behind you. But, I think it's held back your stock price so far this year, right?
I think it has. Oh, for sure. We're hearing more about it from investors, and the note in the financials is pretty obvious. It's a big paragraph explaining the issue, and the number is a big number. It's $200 million plus. It's not a small amount of numbers.
It's big, but it's not that big. You've got 90 mil on your balance sheet right now. You're going to probably put another 30, 40 mil, at the end of the third quarter here. Even if you
we could pay it if we it wouldn't bankrupt us, but it would still be annoying. And I think more to the point, it's not so much the number or so much the fact that could we afford it or not, because obviously we could if we had to, but I think some institutions, it scares them away because they're probably, their corporate governance committee probably just says, hey, look, they got this issue, don't buy that company until it gets resolved. So that probably to some degree, right?
Well, yeah, Wheaton Precious Metals took off, right? When the court case was settled, freaking went through the roof, It'd be nice if you guys...
I think it was up 20% that day they announced it.
Yeah, exactly. Okay, good. So now that, you've got a little cash in the bank, people are looking for dividends. Do you see any dividends on anytime soon?
Sooner the better for me. I'd love to see us paying a dividend. We talk about it almost every year at the board, and I think the board is getting more interested in doing it. I think it's really the cyclicality of this industry that really kind of freaks people out, because one day you have $15 silver and you're barely making a penny, and the next thing you're $25 silver and you're cash flowing like crazy. And you want to, when you pay a dividend, you don't want to have to take it back. So that's one of the biggest concerns we've had right from the beginning. And I think now with the expansions at San Dimas, the expansions at Santa Elena, Encantada looking pretty solid, stable. We're going to have increasing production and increasing profitability over the next couple of years. So, if it's going to happen, it's going to happen soon, I think.
Right. Yeah. The silver price has held up. We had a good spike, and then it's held up here, and every day that goes by, your profits keep increasing and increasing, as you keep on producing silver and selling it at these, levels. It's going to be interesting watching you with these, with this new profitability, because previous years, right, it's been up and down, like you said, and now you're going to have hopefully, a good chunk of change that you're going to be able to use to invest in your current operations, to, maybe pay dividends in the future, and then, to grow, potential acquisitions. And, one of the guys out there, he's wondering, are there any mines or explorers that you find interesting out there, or projects in the silver space?
Well, I can't say too much about that because then it's almost like shooting ourselves in the foot, isn't it? But look, we we know the space very well. We know Mexico, of course, very well, and we had 7 mines up and running back in 2017. We now have 3 mines. 2020 is our first year that we're not producing concentrates since 2006. So it's nice to be just a silver and gold producer. And all that metals in the form of doré bars, which is fantastic. We don't produce concentrates, which is meaning that we don't have those high smelting costs that other mining companies have to deal with. So that's great. So our portfolio couldn't be better. Our biggest challenge is really we know how to grow internally. There's exploration that's we've expanded all the exploration, so there's been a lot of work being done there, and we're hopeful that that's going to add ounces. We've seen at Ermitaño that discovery, so we've added a substantial amount of mine life at Santa Elena as a result of drilling. We hope to see those similar types of successes throughout the entire portfolio. And then the San Dimas expansion, of course, then the Ermitaño coming in. There's lots of exciting, good things happening, but the biggest thing for us is what does the M&A environment look like? Because it doesn't do us any good to buy a 1 million ounce producer. It's we have a portfolio of 4 mines in our portfolio that are currently not operating, which all could be turned on tomorrow and produce 1 million ounces each.
Yeah.
But
your Silvercrest acquisition, right? That was at like the bottom of the market. You paid what, 130 mil or something like that for Silvercrest?
105 million. Yeah.
Yeah, 105 mil, and you're getting like it's paid for itself many times over so far.
Yeah.
Yeah,
for sure.
Yeah, and the market environment's a little different now, with all silver running up and all the juniors running up, and it's hard to find a good deal out there. Let's put it that way.
It is, yeah, and then it's. I don't want to go buy an exploration project either. We have to buy something that's either in production or very close to production, something that's got blue sky and expandable.
What about like a share dividend, a dividend of shares in some of your properties that you spun out?
Yeah, well, we own a big position in First Mining Gold, and we've talked about dividending that out at some point in the future. It's still up in the air. We haven't done it. That company is in permitting stages, and it's kind of boring watching a company go through permitting. But once they de-risk that, I think that the future of First Mining looks pretty good. So. I think at some point there might be, dividend paid out. At least historically, we've spoken about doing that.
What about Silver Dollar, that recent transaction that you guys did?
Yeah, we've done a couple of interesting transactions. We did one with GR Silver, where I think we own, I don't know, Todd will know the exact number, but over 10% of that company. Silver Dollar, the one you mentioned, we gained over 10% of that company. So. It's kind of nice being on that side of the equation. It's not something we've done historically, right? We've been big buyers of assets, so we built a pretty big portfolio. Now we're trying to monetize some of the smaller projects and get ready for our big next acquisition. And Todd's doing a great job, and it's nice to see our partners performing so well. And there's going to be a couple more deals that people will probably see happen as well.
Okay. All right, good. Well, thank you for the update. I think you want to talk about the silver price a little bit. One of the reasons why I brought you on is because you've been, outspoken proponent of the silver price. And, and it's good. You're a CEO of a silver mining company, and you're bullish. It's good to hear you talk about it. But, it's an interesting environment, right? Going from March to silver bottoming out, what was it, at $12.50? And it exploded higher here to, $26, $27. It looks like we're in a different environment, but you throw out those ratios all the time, right? Of silver on the ground, silver that's produced. What are those ratios again?
Yeah, just to be clear, Garrett, I'm not a bull on silver because I'm the CEO of a silver company. I'm the CEO of a silver company because I'm a bull of silver. Right. So I came from a copper company, and when I'm looking, in 2000, 2002, when I was trying to figure out what to do next, I looked at, all the metals, and I love copper and still love copper today. but silver has got the most dynamic supply demand fundamentals of any metal that I know of. So, you know, I've chose to put a silver company together for those reasons.
Yep.
I haven't been right for the entire 18 years, but I did predict $50 silver. I didn't think it was going to take 10 years to do it, but it did happen. But I did not predict silver was going to go from 50 back down to 13. That was a surprise to me. And I would have thought we would already be at $100 silver prices by now, you know, but yeah, I still think it's going to happen. And, you know, one of the things I do look at that you just mentioned is the ratio. You know, according to the scientists, you know, there's about 15 or 16 ounces of silver in the Earth's crust for every 1 ounce of gold. That's kind of the accepted, you know, number. But we're not even mining close to that. You know, we're mining 8 ounces of silver for every 1 ounce of gold being mined worldwide. So silver is turning out, or at least looking like it's a lot rarer than even scientists have claimed it to be. And with silver, it's such a cheaply traded metal that it doesn't even pay to recycle it. So a lot of the silver that's been consumed over the last 30 years in the form of televisions and washers and dryers and refrigerators and freezers and automobiles and, you know, you name it, has just been put in waste dumps or the ocean or wherever and not recycled. And, you know, according to the numbers that I've seen, you know, 90% of all silver that's mined, it goes into waste and then never gets recycled. And for gold, it's the exact opposite. You know, 90% of all gold gets recycled. So, you know, mining at 8 to 1 with technologies and with you know, all the things that we need to do as a human race to get off oil and gas and light up the planet in all the green ways we want to do it, is going to require a ton more silver and copper, of course, as well. But you know, and we just don't at $20, $30 silver. We don't have, the price is not high enough, in my opinion, to supply the needs of the human race over the next several decades.
What about you know, above ground silver stock? Is there a lot out there in your estimate?
Yeah, you know, there's numbers. You know, David Morgan, you know, says there's 2 billion ounces and that's commercial silver, like that's 1,000 ounce commercial bars. You know, I don't know how right he is, but, you know, that's the number he banties around. You know, if you look at the ETFs, you know, there's about, you know, 900 to 1 billion ounces in ETFs. So the difference between that number would be, you know, in private hoards, I gather. But if you look at recycling, back in 2011, when silver went to $50 an ounce, that year there was 250 million ounces of silver recycled. And this latest number for 2019, it was 125 million ounces of silver recycled, which is really, you know, about 10% of the consumption is from recycled metal. And most of that comes from hospital film and jewelry. But, you know, electronic components don't get recycled. They just get thrown away into waste. So in theory, when the next time silver goes to $50 an ounce, there won't be any of that silver around to recycle, because already all the silverware, all the little old ladies, you know, silver that's been tucked away in cupboards and have all come out, you know, in 2010, 2011 during that big run. So, you know, people that I listen to tend to think that you're not going to see, you know, recycling of silver hit that old high of 250 million ounces until silver prices get back up north of $100 an ounce.
Right. So what's your outlook on silver for, you know, over the next year or so?
You know, short term, I hate picking short term numbers. I've been so wrong over the last 5 or 6 years. I would just never have thought to see what we've seen. I could see easily ending this year at $30 an ounce. You know, the price is holding up pretty good here, and there's just a lot of reasons why you want to own the metal. The miners are still not back to normal, so the supply side is still very, very tight. Demand is extraordinary from the retail investment, and also, of course, the industrial demand is still all very strong. So everything's pointing to higher silver prices in my view. But I still believe that we're going to see triple digit silver just based on ratio. You know, this 8 to 1. You know, $3,000 gold you got, $200 plus silver, right?
Yeah. Yeah, definitely. Yeah, there's been some wacky stuff going on so far this year, right? With all the Fed stimulus putting in trillions of dollars into the economy. You get Tesla going to thousands of dollars, and rumors come out of Kodak and it goes up 40x. And there's a surplus of liquidity out there that is
Yeah.
driving markets around, and it's going to find its way. It already found its way a little bit into silver, but it's probably going to continue.
Yeah, I look at this as almost an identical market. I'm not sure if you agree or not, but going back to the dot-com bubble of March 2000 when the Nasdaq hit 5,000, basically went straight up from 1,500 to 5,000 over about an 18-month period, starting in '98, ending in 2000. And then over the next 3 years, the Nasdaq drops about 80%, and that was the beginning of the gold bull market. And gold started at 250, it went to 1900, and silver started at $5, it went to $50, and the Nasdaq didn't hit its old high of 5,000 until 2015. 15 years later, it took for the Nasdaq to hit its old high, which is pretty astounding. So I think we're going to go. I think unfortunately, the U.S. markets are getting a little bit bubbly, and I think the institutions have to wake up to the fact that they will wake up to the fact that there are other industries that they have to put their money into to make their gains, as they did in that big bull run from 2002 to 2012, where we had a nice 10-year bull market. So if we have another 10-year bull market similar to what we experienced during that run, and you have gold at the bottom, call it 1050, up 8 times, that's $8,000 gold, and silver up 10 times from 5 to 50, you call it 13 as a bottom, that's $130 silver. So those aren't bad numbers, and that's kind of what I'm expecting is going to happen. Only time will tell, of course.
Right. That sounds good to me. That'd be very interesting to hear, interesting to see over the next few years. And it'd be interesting to watch, the silver miners, to go from a low margin environment to high margins, and actually to see what they're going to do with that increased cash flow, and, the benefits that shareholders are going to get through, dividends, and, the higher cash flows, and, all that. So that's about it on my end, Keith. Is there anything else that you want to add?
No, very thorough, Garrett, as always. And no, I think we covered pretty well the whole story.
Okay. All right, great. Thank you for joining me today, Keith. I think everyone had a good time and enjoyed it.
Oh, great. Well, thanks for setting this up. Appreciate it.
No problem. We'll talk soon.
Okay. Thank you.
Mm.